I've got a short window to make this crossing. Out there's an island you can only reach at low tide. If I time it right, I will get across. And once I do, I want to see what's actually out there and what's been left behind. Join me on the adventure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, Island Uncharted. We have a very nice sunny day today. I'm headed over to Denman Island. I'm going to be heading to Morning Beach, which is on the northern part of Denman Island. Once we're there, we're going to take about a 3-kilometer hike through a sand spit to another island called Sandy Island. Now, this hike is very dependent on tide, so I'm a little apprehensive this morning.
The ferry from Buckley Bay to Denman Island is only about 10 minutes, and it's actually driven by a winch and cables. Denman Island is home to about 1,500 people, but it can get super busy during the summertime. And it's also your first stop on the way to Hornby Island.
All right, so I just drove about 5 or 6 kilometers out to the northernmost point of the island. Really undeveloped up here, a lot quieter than the central and southern parts. Just arrived here at the trailhead. I've done some research on the tide guides. It looks like the best time to try to get across is roughly, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So if you look at the sign here, this is obviously where we're parked. There's a trail that kind of comes up here, goes to a great big staircase that goes down to the ocean. And then once we're there, it's probably about a 3-kilometer hike, tide dependent. Just coming over the top of the hill here, I can definitely smell the salt air of the ocean. So back in the past, before the staircase was here, there actually was a series of ropes. It would have been pretty wild back in the day. So I'm getting down to the beach here. I get my first sight of the water. The tide is definitely higher than I was expecting. Oh, wow. Just getting down here to the bottom and just all of a sudden the hit of pungent seaweed stink just totally got me off guard. All right, I found the first interesting piece of flotsam. An old boat, a fixer-upper. This tree must have probably come down the bank up there from erosion. Making pretty good progress down the beach here with this beautiful ocean behind me. I'm watching the tide drop as we go. One of the things I really noticed here on this particular beach is that there's not a lot of garbage, which is actually quite nice to see. So when we get to the island here, I'm gonna kind of tell you guys a bit about the history. It's also a pretty big spot for birds, and it's definitely a unique type of marine environment. So to be honest, the first 1.5 kilometers, this hike's been pretty boring. There's really not a lot to look at on this beach, but I definitely see a change in the terrain ahead. Hopefully it makes for some more interesting beach combing to kind of kill a little bit of time here on the way. Ugh. Just found something sort of disturbing. I'm not going to show it on video, but there's a dead raccoon here on the beach. That's pretty sad. Looks pretty gross. If I had to guess, I'd say it probably got picked off by an eagle. It's like a whole different place here now. You can really tell about the predominant wind in this area. I mean, look at all these trees. They're just completely torqued over. Wind just must rip through here. Oh, this is so weird. It's like giant flat. Be a pretty sweet place to build a cabin. I mean, it just looks so out of place. Right here on the point. It's definitely starting to become more interesting out here. It's almost like a little eerie, to be honest. I mean, the more I look at this, I really start to think now that this might have been, maybe a First Nations settlement. It's just too unnaturally flat, and the lack of old trees would definitely be in a very good location for what we're going to talk about here in a bit. Nice view out here. The wind's starting to die down. I keep making my way along the beach here. So it's been a pretty long / miserable winter. Finally, I think we're here at the first day of spring today. It's seasonal depression's a real thing. I was definitely getting pretty down. So if you're new to the channel, if you like this type of content, consider subscribing because I have some big plans for this season. All right, so you can see here in the distance, that's the island I'm trying to get to. It's not looking actually as bad. Oh yeah, so there's a sand spit here. Gonna get out there, and then probably try to cross through there in about an hour and a half. So one of the really fascinating things about this area, it's definitely a special ecosystem for birds. Right out in front of me here, I can see a kingfisher. It's just hanging out there. I don't have my good camera with lenses. I don't really want to spook them, but I'm seeing birds all over out here. They're definitely feeding as that tide drops. They definitely know the schedule. Oh, nice. There's a picnic bench up here. It's probably a good spot to stop and just give her a few more minutes. Man, this place is weird. Oh, Jesus. Hey, this is wild. What in the world? Look at this. This is all shells. And the roots of the tree. I mean, how is this a thing? It's one of the strangest things I've seen on the shore. It's got to be about 30 feet long, just a line of them about 10 feet deep. Little trail here. It's a weird place. Look at it. Oh, what's going on over the hill? Oh, there's a boat at anchor. There are like a ton of different kinds of birds out here. I mean, there's seagulls, there's crows, there's ravens, there's kingfishers. This area is definitely prime habitat for these marine type birds. 200 seagulls out there right now in the middle where I have to cross through, so I'm probably also gonna get pooped on. But let me see how this looks here. Ugh. Oh yeah, she's definitely a little swampy. All these holes you see in the ground, most likely clams. And a lot of these birds, that's exactly what they're fishing for. So going back to that wall of shells and the flat areas that I talked about earlier, I kind of feel like it might have been a First Nations summer fishing type village. That's what they would have called a midden. There was a lot of shells there that looked completely unnatural. So that's sort of what I'm assuming. I don't know this, but so far so good. I feel like I'm about halfway. Yeah, about halfway. I can see some sort of temporary type shelter there on the island. Perhaps built by someone who missed the tide. So the First Nations would have definitely harvested this area. I mean, it must have been in abundance back in the old days. It's still absolutely amazing now. But I just mean like, a couple thousand years ago, probably was a lot different. I get pretty close now. I can't make out that last little stretch. This island is actually a lot bigger than it looked on the map. We're almost there. I think we're actually gonna make it. So that gives me extra time to explore, which is good. Tide kind of makes me nervous though. I mean, it's always in the back of my mind here. Don't feel like spending the night. A good little trick for kind of keeping your eye on the tide is put a stick in the ground right at the water level and just kind of use that as a reference. I made it to the island. Feet aren't even wet.
Long before this island was called Sandy Island, it had a different name, a more ancient name, Hadjium, which meant having trees. For thousands of years, the Comox people had moved to these tidal flats, not as visitors, but as part of the land itself. These weren't just beaches, they were pathways, and at low tide, when the ocean pulled back, they revealed routes, food, and opportunity. Clams, oysters, and all manners of life filled these waters, feeding generations, and the crossing I just made has been done by people for millennia. This place does not belong to us. It belongs to the tide. In a few hours, it disappears once again.
It's really weird. I'm just trying to get a lay of the land here, but there's all these marks in the tracks, which are obviously pretty worn trails. One goes that way, this guy here. Guess I'm just gonna kind of start following one of them and see what happens. I'd like to get to that forest patch over there though. See if there's any old buildings or anything. So I would also assume there was most likely a population here as well of First Nations. I'm not sure what extent. Okay, this is weird. So there's a whole bunch of trees here. This definitely looks something like an orchard. Oh, we got some stonework here too, it looks like. So this here is all definitely man-made. Tell by the square shape, all that sort of thing. That's weird, it has springs through it. I don't know what this is.
You don't expect to find something like this out here, just pieces of concrete scattered across the land. Then you notice the metal built into them, like they're meant to hold something into place. And somehow, yet they've ended up here. I don't know what they're used for, but they feel like they belong to a different time.
But then we have this orchard of these really unnatural looking trees for this environment. I don't know what kind of tree this is.
And once again, I'm at a loss, perhaps from an old homestead.
I see another pile of kind of stone looking rubble up there. Doesn't look natural, perhaps worth an investigation. Just kind of getting to the edge of the forest here. Oh, this tide thing is really making me nervous. Not really prepared to spend the night here if I had to. I mean, I'm sure it'd be fine, but yeah, same kind of rock structure here. At first I thought they might have been some sort of anchoring device or something like that, but this one's way too far inland. I don't know what the heck they're for. Or were for, I should say. This is weird. Like, what is going on with this? They're definitely reinforced for some pretty serious business. So the trail heads now into the forest. Creepy forest. What could possibly go wrong?
This is one of the only stable parts of the island. Most of this place is just shifting sands, but here the ground's held long enough for trees to take root and grow.
So I just read an interesting fact. There's a moth called the sand verbena. It actually really likes these yellow flowers. Actually, they are the only endangered moth in Canada. And there are about only 8 places that they can be found, here being one of them. What are these things? Okay. And if you're allowed to camp here, this would be a pretty sweet spot. So I've made it through the forest. I'm at the most northern tip here of the island coming up. There's a giant sand pit up here. The rest behind me looks kind of sort of marsh-like, and then beach on the other side. Oh, what the heck? This is weird. Some crazy elaborate tree thing. I don't understand why. Like, there's so many of these forts here. It's weird. So I've reached the northernmost point of the island here. Doesn't look like there's anything too interesting out there. I was just kind of making my way to the other end of the island, and I saw this really unnatural looking lump in the ground. I come over to have a closer look, and I have no idea what I'm looking at. It's moving. Some sort of bug nest. Oh, I hope they're not ticks. I believe it's some sort of ant colony. Oh God. Yeah, they're definitely ants of some sort. Ugh, that's creepy. I'm definitely not a fan of bugs in general. Oh, and by the way, just a short little PSA. The ticks are actually already here this year. So if you're out in the bush, make sure to check your dogs, check yourself. I'm really good at getting ticks. I get one pretty much every year, unfortunately, not by choice. So when I got to Sandy Island here, I was actually not sure what to expect. All I know is that I wanted to come here for quite some time. I've been close a couple times, but the tide just wasn't right. So this time I actually made the effort to plan this trip. Now, when I came here, I didn't know what we'd find. Maybe traces of an old First Nations settlement. Traces of an old cannery, buildings in the woods, or just a whole bunch of sand. But I'm actually pleasantly surprised because what we actually have here is a marine park. There's no fires, there's no overnight camping, but there's a beautiful series of trails, and there's all these cool wooden structures. Like there's tree houses, you've seen them in the video. Pretty amazing spot, absolutely beautiful. It's sunny, it's not raining. It's definitely a good day in my books. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for sticking around till the end of the video. If you like this type of content, consider subscribing to the channel. It's 100% free. It allows me to make you more content, and it motivates me. So if you like the video, give it a like. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below, and I'll do my best to get back to you.